Looking at the footage from last night, it looks like your character's kind of being introduced into this world by Paul's. Is that sort of fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's aware of the vampire, or the vampires in the church, and, he's had a little bit of experience with it, but I don't think he's come to, though he's a sheriff, he hasn't learned the protecting role yet, and so maybe he's just not a man. But after meeting Paul, he does kind of get introduced, I guess, into that world. Mm-hmm. Ass kicking.
Mm-hmm. Well, having done some sort of action, some action-oriented stuff in the past, how dramatic was sort of the learning curve on this? I mean, was it something that was kind of like muscle memory, like once you started getting back into the discipline of it?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, there's always, when it comes to physicality, just having coordination kind of helps, but. Mm-hmm. For me, this one was a lot of knife work, which I enjoyed, and then shooting guns and going to a gun range, which was fun. And, but nothing can really. I mean, the gun I was carrying was like 10 pounds, so nothing could kind of prepare you for that. But yeah, I didn't have as grueling of a schedule, I guess, as Paul or even Maggie. Because he doesn't really have that kind of skill, but hopefully in the sequel.
Mm-hmm. How careful do you have to be, if at all, with sort of like maybe the theological aspects of this? I mean, is it because it is a post-apocalyptic Western? Does that sort of exclude even the consideration of being sensitive to sort of the religious undertones, overtones of the material, or do you have to think about that at all?
Well, I think Paul's character was more torn with, his, because he is from the church, he is protected by the church and protected the church. But, my character, he has shunned that entire environment. And so, and I think everyone outside of the church's protection are outside of that religious world. And so, he's never really, I think my character even says, you may think that we're all a bunch of godless heathens. We may be godless because I think they're just living in a more realistic world, and they know that there are these monsters, I guess, always around them, and there's always danger, and the church, though they try to say that they're protecting, he's a little bitter towards them. And so his thoughts are pretty clear.
As you guys were talking about sort of in the Q&A last night, it doesn't sound like you guys have like this major team of performance capture artists playing these creatures that you guys are squaring off against. How difficult was it to have nothing or sort of a limited sort of thing to react to? Is that a sort of similar sort of creative challenge to any other sort of pretending that you do as an actor? I mean, that you're imagining you're a lawyer or whatever.
I mean, yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's the same as that. It's all kind of you're using your imagination a lot, and even if you don't use vampires or anything, you just kind of get personal, and whatever really actually kind of frightens you and scares you, kind of can go there. But when we're actually wrestling, and when I fight with that. Remember in the very beginning that I think you saw, we actually had people there, and so I was actually wrestling around, which helps, with the physicality, but then just kind of emotionally and everything else, you kind of use your imagination, but part of the job.
What sort of thought process goes into sort of the choosing of the roles that you're taking now? Because it seems like you're sort of incrementally, but very sort of methodically finding bigger roles for yourself that showcase different aspects of your character. I mean, are people now offering you more things, or is it a matter of like actively seeking certain kinds of roles?
It's tough. I feel like I'm in kind of a tough place in my career because you start to have to worry and really pay attention and focus on what jobs are going to have what effect, and so it feels like there's a lot more strategy or planning involved, but at the end of the day, you still need to work, and so you kind of have to balance, what you want to do and where you want things to go, but you also have to make a living. And so, I've been lucky in the past that I feel like whenever I feel like I'm kind of getting lost and things are not looking bright, you know, someone comes along with a script or a story or a project that kind of just speaks to me, and it's been quite lucky, I guess, is all it really is at the end of the day. And even the last thing that I shot, Trespass, you know, just kind of all of a sudden came and it was perfect for me. So it's kind of how things have been. Hopefully it stays on that path. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, how has Screen Gems kind of been a facilitator for that? I mean, honestly, you were terrific in Burlesque, and that's obviously a very dramatically different kind of role than something like this, you know?
Thank God that Screen Gems exists, and Clint Culpepper, the head of Screen Gems, has always been such a big supporter. And yeah, over the course of a year and a half, he was my employer, and we had shot 4 movies, I believe, together in a row. And anyone who does that, I am eternally grateful to Clint. And yeah, and to also be so open-minded to give me those different kind of jobs and give me those different opportunities to actually try something new and kind of play around and push the limits a little bit. Can't be happy enough. So yeah, no, he's good.
Well, just one last question then. You know, of all the, I don't know how much of the movie you've actually seen at this point, but like of the sort of sizzle reel that they showed last night, what's the scene that you're either most excited to see sort of fully played out, or you're most excited to have audiences be able to see sort of fully played out?
I have seen it. Gosh, there's so many specific scenes that are so great. I mean, the Nightshade scene is obviously, which you guys had seen in 3D, is one of my most favorite, and that was actually one of the first ones we shot. But God, I mean, even in the sizzle reel, you guys had seen the fight with Maggie, and even in the very end when she has and I've only seen it in 2D. I can imagine it's going to look just unbelievable in 3D, and so I can't wait for that. But all of that train stuff is really like, it's just one continuous, intense scene for like the last 15-20 minutes of the film, and so it's just non-stop, and so it kind of keeps you up here the entire time. And so that was probably my favorite scene. I can't wait to see how people kind of relate to that.